Hello, everyone, and welcome to Great Convos, where we always say, whether you agree or disagree, you can always find great convos. I'm your co-host, Roger Caesar, and that gentleman over there.
I am here, Roger. Hello, good to see you. I'm Alexandre Matt. Who am I? The cat guy. Why are we dog guy and cat guy, Roger?
Well, because we have a very, very special guest with us today. It is the 2024 World Champion of Public Speaking with us, Luisa Montalvo. And we are so excited to have a conversation with her. And as we always say, thank you to our loyal listeners for joining us. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us and we appreciate you. Please, please, please put in your comments. Be a part of the conversation. Anything that comes up that you want to talk about, we want to see it on the screen so that also Luisa can see it. But yes, I am the dog guy. I love dogs. Love dogs. Always had a dog. I've always enjoyed the companionship of having a dog. You, a cat guy.
Yeah. Well, dogs and cats are, it can be part of our family, but sometimes they are abandoned. They are left to not be part of any family. And this is one thing that Luisa has mentioned in her World Championship speech, but it's part of her life mission to save these dogs that have no place to go and giving them a place to go. So let's just have her right on. She can talk more about her life mission, but also about her journey in full. Please welcome Luisa Montalvo.
Woo! Woo! What's happening, champ? How you doing? Oh, we got to put her.
You have to unmute your mic.
There we go.
Sorry. Thank you so much for having me. I've actually been looking forward to this. So again, I'm honored to be here with you guys. Thank you.
Oh, it is a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today. Listen, we're going to get right into the show one time. I'm going to ask you one quick question because I know you've already been exhausted with so many questions with regards to the World Championship, but just one quick one. How does it feel?
It is a great question, Roger. It is still surreal. I still wake up in the morning saying, did I just do that? Did that just happen? So it's been 11 years in the making. And to finally be able to bring that to fruition is just amazing. I'm on cloud 9 and I'll probably be there for years to come.
Right. Well, Luisa, it's been 11 years. So you first competed around 2013?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And you made it for the first time. I know you had some difficulty piercing that district level, the 5th level before you go to the world semifinals, and finally you made it in 2019. You made it to the World Championship in 2019, 5 years ago, and you finished second place in the world. Now, second place in the world, I remember what that's like in 2022. That's what I got, and I was so happy. I thought, I've made it to the top. I'm so happy. I don't need to compete anymore. Luisa, why did you keep competing? Is second place not good enough?
Great question, Alex. Second place was good enough for me. I was elated to be one of the top 144 speakers in the world. And then I kept advancing. And when I made it to second, I said, great, I'm finished. Pack it up. I'm done. And I went to a district conference in Puebla, Mexico, the only one I was able to attend because COVID happened right after that. And when I was leaving, we were taking pictures and I was shaking hands and talking to everybody. And this one lady, I remember her first name is Urim, U-R-I-M. She came up to me. She said, Luisa, congratulations on being the first Hispanic to make it to that level.
Mm.
And I said, really? She said, yes. She said, congratulations. I said, thank you so much. And I was really proud of that fact. She turned to leave, and I turned to go and speak to the next person. And then she said, oh, Luisa. And I turned around. I said, yes. She said, and good luck on your journey to making it to #1, because you can do it. And I said, wait a minute. You're not happy with #2? I'm happy with it. Can you be happy with it? She says, no. If anybody can do it, you can.
Wow.
And so she was the one that instilled the idea of going back and trying to get first. So I owe her that, and I'm so grateful I did.
Wow. Y felicidades para la. How would you say it? First
Muchísimas
place.
gracias.
Eres campeona.
Campeona. Campeona. Gracias. Champion, yes.
Now, you just said that somebody pushed you, and I think both Alex and I have had those type of people in our lives that have pushed us, even when we thought that was enough where we were. And it's such a gratifying feeling when there are others around you that see what you can do and support you and push you beyond your own limits. And I always go back, and I've said this a million times, I always go back to the 2014 world champion of public speaking, Denajaya Edarachi, and he's saying, I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. This lady saw something in you, but it took another 5 years before you got back to this level and were able to now become world champion. I could ask you, was it worth it? But I think I'm going to ask you, did you have any falters? Did you have any painful moments along the way?
I'm sorry, did I have any what moments?
Painful moments along the way that made you say, maybe I'm good enough where I am.
Actually, ironically, and a great question, thank you, Roger. The night before I was supposed to get on the airplane to fly to Anaheim, I had a little breakdown and convinced myself not to go to the convention.
Wow.
Because I felt the people I was trying to impress, I had lost them in my life. So what was the purpose of me going?
Including your mother.
I don't think I've ever, I usually don't do something for myself. I'll usually do it for someone else. And I believe that's what I thought I was doing. And at the very moment I was outside in my car, and I had just convinced myself not to travel to Anaheim. And I got a text message from Jeff Stein, and he is in Chicago, a Toastmaster I've never met, but a great guy. And he text messaged me a little GIF, and it said, you never know who you're inspiring, and you never know who is watching you. Never give up. And I called him right away, and I said, Jeff, I hate you. And he said, what did I do? I said, I had just convinced myself not to go, not to compete, to do it another time. And then I get your text message. So now I have to get on the plane, and I'm so glad I did. And it was just him reaching out at the right time to tell me what I needed to hear. And I'm so very grateful for that. I'm not saying I wouldn't have gone, but it was there. It was a consideration. So him just pushing me forward and saying, hey, you've got this. And he talked to me about it, and he allowed me to have my feelings and express that. And then I made the decision the next morning to actually get on the plane.
Well, you know what, Luisa?
Yes, he is
Jeff
here.
Is listening.
No, Jeff!
Shout out
and he just wrote,
Jeff, shout out to you. We're giving you a fist pump. Good job, man. Good job.
Jeff is a great guy.
There you
He just
go.
wrote, my pleasure, and I would do it again too. And speaking of Jeff, he also left another message. Where are the dogs? So let's talk about these dogs now.
Yes.
In your championship speech, Luisa, you do mention that your story starts when you're driving some dogs from Texas to New York to give them a home. So tell us about that in your why is that part of your life?
It is part of my life because for the first 54 years, I was trying to decide what I was going to do with my life. I was working the corporate job. I was punching a clock. I would get home, and I was able to leave my job at my work site. and then get home and then just enjoy the weekends or travel. But once I retired, I answered a post on Facebook. Someone asked if anybody could watch a mother dog and her 6 puppies for a month to quarantine them. And I thought, I can do that. And that's when it started. Once I did that, once people will know that you can actually take care of a dog or puppies and you have that kind of time. Before I knew it, I had 89 dogs in my backyard. And
Wow.
every dog had its kennel. It looked like a prison back here, but it was just so rewarding because if you're able to save 89 dogs, knowing that you're doing something positive, and I thought, and then again, when you asked how did this come about, I realized that pulling dogs from a shelter and finding homes wasn't the actual answer. It's part of the solution, but the solution is spay and neuter, which means if we can reduce the number of stray dogs in the streets, then we're actually making a dent in the problem. And I'm just trying to eradicate that situation by starting a free spay and neuter clinic. And that is my goal, my dream. And it needs to happen this year. I've already made it a goal now. I've given myself a deadline, and that's what I want to do.
Luisa, let me ask you this then, and this comes with everything. Have you had any difficulties, any stalling in any of the process of doing this? Has there been some pushback? I mean, we're hearing 89 dogs. If you're in a neighborhood or anywhere near, has anybody given you any flack for that?
Great question, Roger. I have an empty lot next to me that's mine, and there's nothing there. The person behind me in the alley, they're never there because this is a second home for them. Next door neighbors, they moved out. House is vacant, so it's just me. So I'm good with that. However, I've already acquired the equipment. I've acquired the location. What I am lacking is Texas veterinarians to be able to come for a Sunday and a Monday. And if they can knock out 100 dogs, 50 dogs a day, if I can do 500 dogs in a weekend, do it twice a month for the next 7 years, I believe I will have eradicated the problem.
Wow. One person can make such a big difference, eh? It's like a domino effect.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, Ralph Medley, perfect example.
Right.
Texas, stand up. Texas, stand up. Help her out. We're shouting out to everyone in Texas. Help her out.
Thank you for that. Thank you for allowing me to share that. Thank you so much.
No problem, man.
Luisa, during your acceptance speech after you won the title, you mentioned your mother and how she was instrumental in instilling in you a passion for public speaking. How did that? Tell us in about a minute how that worked, how she did that, and then I'll have a follow-up question.
Sure. She started working. She'd wanted to work. My father wouldn't allow her to work because he wouldn't allow a babysitter. So she started selling door to door as my brother and I would sit in the car, and she knocked on every door in the neighborhood. She was given an area. And then from there, she was such a great salesperson. And she was also such a good person with other people, approachable. And so she quickly rose up in the ranks, was made district manager, was in charge of 200 Avon ladies, and had a meeting every Tuesday night to instill in these women how to sell, how to believe in themselves, how to have confidence. And she would continuously have me come up and talk to these 200 women and tell them about all the Avon products that I was able to use that day or that week. And so after, this was at the age of 10 or 12 years old, I thought everybody got up in front of 200 women and spoke. So I have, thanks to her putting me in that position at an early age, I have no fear of public speaking. In fact, the more people you put in front of me, the better I'm going to do. Like right now, I'm nervous speaking to the two of you when I'd rather be speaking to 1,700.
Isn't it funny, Alex? Can I just say this before you give her the follow-up question? But it's ironic that you and I are the same. In front of 1,000 people, oh, bring it on. But mine, when I came to Toastmasters, it was to feel comfortable in these small settings. So kudos to you.
There you go. Well, and to you too.
The first time, Luisa, the first time that your mother made you speak in front of these ladies, were you nervous?
No, because I had been watching her do it for a few years. So I thought, oh, wow, it's my turn. Yes.
Ah, okay. So, and so this happened because your father didn't want your mother to go work, to have I guess, a real job. What would she have done? Do you know what sort of work she wanted to do if she had not been an Avon representative?
You know what? That's a great question. And I want to say that she would have probably done the same thing because she was good at sales. She was good at one-on-one. However, I think she would have risen higher in the ranks sooner. And she could have made it to CEO or something like that because she had a certain allotted amount of time. But had she started sooner and had she not had the baggage of the kids in the car, I think the sky is for her, it would have been the sky was the limit, and she would have taken advantage of that.
What about you? What would it have changed for you?
She was offered a job when I was 17 or 18 years old, and it was to move to New York because they needed women that were fluent in English and Spanish, and they needed them for higher positions. And as hard as we tried to convince her to go, she wouldn't go because she said that we needed her at home, and we're like, no, Mom, go. And we just wanted her out of the house because we were teenagers. So I don't know. I don't know what would have happened. It probably wouldn't have been good.
we know that Mom has passed away, and
yes,
obviously she has been a huge influence on you. For those that are here listening, just take a moment. Tell us about Mom. Tell us who she was to you.
My mother and father were complete opposites, which made it work. My mother was the compassionate one, the caring one, never an angry word out of her mouth, never judging anyone. And she instilled that in me, and I'm so glad she did. I also do have part of my father that was the complete opposite. So I try to control that personality more than I do my mom's. My mom was just amazing. And I want to relay or try to convince parents now that have kids, any opportunity you have to put a child in front of an audience for public speaking, I think the younger, this should be taught in elementary, junior high, and high school, so that when you are confronted with this later on in your life, it is not a fear anymore. And it's something that can be addressed now. So I think what she did for me was the absolute best thing she could have done. And it was for all three of us. Neither my brother nor my sister or I are scared to speak in front of a crowd, which I think is great.
It's funny you say that, because obviously Alex is doing a lot of work with youth and kids in storytelling. Myself, I've worked with many youth leadership programs and a part of a Gavel club where I'm a coordinator for that. But I also had my daughter in the program as well until she went to university. So the importance of having these programs to allow kids to develop their social skills, develop their speaking skills, it is so important. And I agree with you 100%. The earlier, the better, because we're losing that with our kids nowadays, where they're all on the phones instead of speaking more and being more comfortable in those settings. So kudos to your mom for doing that. Kudos to obviously Alex for what he's doing as well. And continuing to allow kids to keep learning those skills, those necessary skills.
Mm-hmm. Roger, we've got a lot of comments from our regular viewers, and including some fellow finalists.
Yes.
We saw Rich Hopkins, who's here, and Linda Marie Miller as well. So thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Luisa. Now, Roger, I don't know if you're ready for a sticky question.
Oh, let's go.
I mentioned the acceptance speech. Now, one of the first things you mentioned when you took the microphone after getting that trophy was, as we know, there were 2 time disqualifications. So 2 speakers went overtime. And you said, this sounded tongue-in-cheek. You said, I'm so sorry for the people who went overtime, but thank you. Now, it was very funny. Now I'm wondering, was it sincere, and maybe do you think the results might have been different otherwise?
Great question, Andy. You hit it right on the nail. I said that because I had already placed the people in the finalist order, first, second, and third. And I did not.
Your preference?
Yes, I did not have myself placing at all. I didn't even have me on the scope. And I remember going to semifinals, and I listened to the semifinal speeches, and I remember looking, I don't know who it was. I believe it was a person from a friend of mine from District 55 was sitting behind me. And I looked at him and I said, when did everybody get good?
Yes.
Because I thought, man, I am not even going to make it out of the semis. And I was just so taken aback by all this talent. And I said, wow, Luisa, you are going to have to step up your game. So the day of the finals, I asked the lady, not the contest chair, I asked the lady watching over the entire process. I said, can I change the title of my speech? Because I was going to change my entire speech. I was not happy with the speech I was going to give. And she said, I'm sorry, we already have all the PowerPoints ready, loaded with your title, so you've got to stick with that. And I went back to my room, and going back to my semifinals, where I say you have to make a mental paradigm shift. I said, Luisa, you can either look at this speech. I had it all written down there in my hotel room. You can either look at the speech and say it's the worst speech you've ever given, or it's going to be the best speech you've ever given. And so I said, you know what, Luisa, this is the best speech you're ever going to give. And I just tackled it that way. And I went and got on stage. And even though mentally I had told myself it was really good, I listened to the competitors and I said, Luisa, you will be back next year trying again. So when I said, thank you for the disqualifications, I meant I had myself fourth, but 3 people were disqualified. So that took me up the ranks to number 1. That's why I said that. I didn't have myself placing first, second, or third. And I was okay with that because of the talent. You know, if I will tell you, if you're a good speaker, you're a good speaker. If you're not a good speaker, I'm going to try to tell you what it is you could improve on. And I told myself, Luisa, this is not your year. You're going to have to come back. So when those 3 disqualifications, because there was the lady that used the song and did not give credit to Queen or Freddie Mercury, and then the 2 time disqualifications, that knocked out what I had considered were the top 3.
Wow. I can I say, you know what, Alex, I gotta give her a lot of props for saying that, because at least she's being brutally honest and saying it like it is. I mean, thank you. And to our listeners who are obviously chiming in and saying their thoughts on this, they're seeing it as well, because that's not something you always will hear. And I'm glad that you were able to say that, because we did talk about it. Obviously, Alex and I, while we were at the conference, we did talk about the results and what happened as well. And we were brutally honest too. But I thank you so much for that. But you know what, Luisa, that's why it's going to make you even more of a champion, because of who you are, your humility, the way you represented yourself. And it's showing. And there are many of the audience members here who are saying the same thing. So congrats to you, man.
Well, thank you. If I can interject really quickly here, that real quickly or really quickly, I think it's real quickly. I'm not sure. I've got it. You know, when you're champion now, you have to say everything perfect, and I'm probably going to be the worst champion because I know I'm going to say gonna instead of going to, or words like that.
Hey,
so
if it's the way that
me.
you speak, as long as it's sincere, if it's a real
But
conversation, go ahead.
I was actually on my phone, and the gentleman that was recording, he was sitting right in front of me before they announced the number 1 winner. And I had my best friend and my cousin on the phone, and I said, we were FaceTiming. I said, you guys, when they said Angelique and then Hannah, I said, I know I'm not number one. I said, you guys, I'm going to have to come back next year and do this again because I'm out. And then they said Luisa Montalvo, and I went, what? Like, okay, for the first time, I think I disagreed with the judges. I'm like, wait, what? And it was in my favor. So I'm like, I was totally taken aback. But and here's what I had wanted to say, and I didn't say it. I said, for all the times that I felt I deserved to win first and didn't, I'm going to take this trophy home because there were times I thought I should have placed and I didn't. But now, if you think I placed or I think I'm good enough, okay, we're good. We're even now. It's all right. It's good.
Wow. Well, thank you, Alex. Let's get the information to our listeners.
Yeah, Luisa, if people want to reach you, how can they find you?
Probably
contact you.
The best way would be Facebook. The Facebook Messenger would be great because I get those notifications, and email, which I believe I told you about that earlier, but it's montalvo.luisa@yahoo.com. And I am terrible about checking my emails, although lately I've had to get really good at it.
You better.
Yes, I think I was at 98,000.
You'll have to get someone to help you because they're going to be a lot. So you might have to get someone to help you along the way.
I've got a dog in training. We're working on it.
Alex?
Well, thank you so much, Luisa, for joining us and for accepting our invitation, especially so soon after the World Championship. I know you've been very busy. Did you say you had at least 10 podcasts or interviews since you won the World Championship just a couple of weeks ago? So I'm very thankful that we are one of them. Luisa, let's keep in touch. We have a great thing in common, you and I. We are both the winners of the second place in this World Championship. So I hope you'll still keep that title. Even though you became world champion, you still were second before you gained the title.
Really, Alex? Really, Alex? Just gonna push me off to the side like it ain't nothing. I see what you're doing. I see what's happening here. Listen,
okay,
Luisa, don't even listen to him. We're all going to bond here. We're all
all right. Roger, who became third place winner in 2021, you can be part of the club. All right, second place and third place, just like Rich Hopkins and Linda Marie Miller are in that special club as well.
Yes. Well, Luisa, thank you again. Thank you to our listeners for chiming in, for being here. Look at the amount of comments. Keep putting them out there. We're going to make sure that she sees all of them.
Oh, good.
You, Luisa, enjoy being champion, and not just champion from the perspective of world champion of public speaking, but champion with the dogs, with yourself as a person, as a human being. Thank you for being a true champion. And Texas, stand up for this woman and all around. And if any of our listeners know of anybody or can help out in any way, shape, or form, please reach out to Luisa. She is doing something phenomenal, and we want to help her as best as we can here. Well, it is the end of the show. We did take a little longer, but it was well-deserved. And as we always say here on Great Convos, whether you agree or disagree, you can always find Great Convos. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye. Have a great week.